Don't you just love when people make up holidays just for us, the crafters of the world? Yay for World Card Making Day! I'm going to show you a really quick tutorial today on coloring the Art Impressions Hoot Owl. I love this little guy and his little hat, and let's get started on that. So I'm going to start with my lightest colors because I don't want to mess any of them up when I put my darkest colors in. If I do my really light colors afterward, I might end up pulling a little bit of the marker from the darker colors into the lighter areas, and I don't want to do that. So I'm starting with B21. Should probably put my cap down there. This is B21. I'm using it just for the super light areas that are going to basically be white, and I want them to stay looking white, but I need to put some color in there so that they do look white. So that was B21, and now I'm going to take my B00 and I'm going to blend it out just a little bit, really soft, just a light flick. I'm touching the paper and then lifting up, and here I'm going to lift up just as I get outside of the area where the B21 has already gone down, so that he gets really round looking eyes. And now I'll do the other puff areas. So those are done, so I don't have to touch them and mess with them at all. Next, I'm going to take my main color for his body, and I'm going to fill that all in. This is, well, I shouldn't say my main color. This is the lightest color it's going to be. And this, here's the cap, is Y21, YR21. You can hear my cat in the background getting unhappy that I am filming and not paying attention to him. But I'm just going to put a base coat of this down. Doesn't have to be tidy. I'm not worried about whether or not the lines are blending or whether I'm getting streaks in it, because lots of color is going to go over this. I'm coloring on Neenah paper. It's my favorite brand to color my Copic on. I recently did try some other papers and they were really slick, and that was an odd thing to have papers that were that slick. Alright, so next I'm going to go for my very darkest. Yes, I go from lightest to darkest because I want to put in the spots that are going to be really dark, and I'm going to blend them once I do. Oh, and there's the dog. Boy, I tell you, I turn the camera on and all the hams come out in the background to distract me. But I'm just going to put in my darkest shadows. Oh, there we go. There's my cap. E59 is the color. Hello, Punch. Hopefully he's not going to do anything crazy like jump up on a counter or knock anything over while I'm doing this. We shall see. So those are just my very darkest areas. Then I'm going to take my next color in, which will be E37. This is my favorite brown. And I'm going to add more in the next areas of shadow, so there will be more of the E37, and I'll extend the areas that already have the E59, make them go a little farther out, and add extra, whoops, okay, I goobered there, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Leaning over the camera while I color. Not real easy to maintain control. And you're not at your normal coloring angle. So then I'll extend the area where that shadow came from. And then I'm going to add just a little bit under his ruffles here on his tummy. Don't want a ton on there. I'm going to add a little bit right there. Alright, he's looking pretty messy, right? So then I'm going to go for my next color in, which will be E35. So I'm just walking my way toward lighter colors as I go. And I'm just going to blend out from the areas that had the E37, and I'm going over top of them and over top of the areas that were the E59. They're really dark, and they just start to blend. And with the experiments I did with some other papers recently, and I don't know what they were, that's part of my problem, is I wasn't able to do proper testing because somebody gave me a pack of papers and it only had a label on the outside. It didn't say which papers inside were which. So I wasn't able to perform any tests, but I hope to do that at some point if I can get my hands on some different types of paper and try them out. But just going to continue to extend just a little bit more in each section. And now I'm going to go one lighter with E33. And then I can really start to blend that out even more while reserving where those light spots are going to be. I do want some yellow like on his tummy. But as I start going over top of these areas, I do start getting more blending going on between these colors that are already there. And you can definitely see that blending, I hope, on YouTube. And now I'm going to go back to the YR21, my initial color, and I'm going to scribble over top of where these colors already have been. So now I'm just going to soften all of where his tummy areas are. Now I'm not really super pleased with how some of that blends out, but what I'm going to do now is going to be to add a little bit of some feather texture. So I'm just going to go in, this is my E35, keep forgetting to put my cap down for you, and I'm just going to add some more dots. I'm just going in with really light touch. I'm not going crazy with it. Just touching that marker down, and now going in with a lighter color. And as I do this, as I'm adding the texture, you start to lose some of those areas that you might not be happy with in how they blended, but you still get that overall sense of blending anyway. Just look and make sure everything else is blended the way I want it to be. And I am going to fix that bloop in a few minutes. I will show you how I do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on the hat. So I'm going to take my light color for the hat. It's going to be a B32. And that's going to be the base. So I will be just filling it in. Again, base coat, doesn't matter if it's beautiful, as long as it puts a lot of that marker color down, because as the paper is wet, that is what's going to blend as all those the different ink colors meet in the fibers of the paper. And now I'm going to take my B06, and the hat is going to be mostly the darker blue, so I'm not going to leave a whole lot of the lighter blue there. But I'm just going to fill in across the hat here. And while I'm coloring this, I hope you guys are enjoying the World Card Making Day blog hop. There will be a link in the doobly-doo to the hop. If you're watching this later, you will be able to go and view all those posts, even though they were for a hop that's already done. If you're watching this later on, this is my B32 again, so I'm going to just soften a little bit of this because I want to add a texture to his hat, and I want it to be, I want to darken it up without using a dark blue. So I'm going to show you how you can do that without using a dark blue if you don't have one. So now I'm going to take my C10. You can go with lighter colors if you get scared, because it does scare a lot of people. I'm going to start with the area that's definitely in shadow, which is underneath his hat. Well, I guess depending on where your light's coming from. That's where my light's coming from, up on the top, on the left. And I'm going to add all my shadows along in here. Yes, Meowser. I hear ya. I do. And so I'm just going to add, yes, big scary sections of this C10. And I'm going to go back in again with my B06. And I'm just going to color over top of the C10, dragging it out so that I get a little bit more blending right where the two meet. Now you can only do this much of a, C10, this dark of a technique, if you're really willing to have dark shadows. And I really am on this image. You can do it with a lighter color if you want. But now I want to add some texture to the hat. So he definitely looks like he's wearing a fuzzy hat. So I'm going to take my C10 again. And I'm going to do kind of like I did down below and just add some dots as I go up on here. So he starts to get a little bit of a texture. I can go back in with my B06 again and add some B06 dots. Yes, kitty, I hear you. So that is that. I'm going to do his toes real quick and his beak. So I'm using my YR21 again for the beak and the toes. And I'm going to do his branch. I think I'm going to keep it much simpler. And I am going to fussy cut this out, so if I go out of the lines, because I'm planning on cutting them out anyway. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow. I'm not going to put, oops, sorry if I bumped the camera there. I'm not going to worry about it too much detail just because I'm putting more of the detail in him than in what he's sitting on. But having a little bit of an extra tone in there is good. And then I want a little bit of shadow on his feetsies. Yes, kitty, I know. I'm filming this late at night and it's his snuggle time. So Punch is missing his snuggle time right now and he's not a happy boy. But as soon as I get done filming, we're going to go do that and we'll do the editing tomorrow. And now for the spot that I goofed. This is the blender pen, which is a misnomer. It doesn't really blend much, but look at that. What it does is push the ink away from where you put it. So I'm pushing that brown ink back into the area where it was supposed to be. The other thing I'm going to do, which if you have a steady hand you can do it, my stamping wasn't really clear. So I'm going to just fill in his eyeballs that are supposed to be really black here, and they're kind of grayish because the stamping wasn't perfect. But on something nice and big like this eyeball, I can definitely go in there. You can use a small pen if you want. I'm just using my my C10 marker again.
Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click that like button down in the doobly-doo. That really helps the channel out. In the comments down below, would you do me a favor and tell me what paper you stamp on when you're going to color and what medium you color with? Because I want to do some paper testing and I need to know what I should test. So leave me some notes down there and I will see what I can do in the next couple months trying to get my hands on some of that paper so I can do some tests. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye now.